Hello, I'm back yet again, and today I'm going to be discussing what would have happened Monday morning on with the students of the Breakfast Club. What would have really happened? This was a question that kind of it plagued me actually since I saw the movie for the first time. The kids kind of talk big about how they wouldn't disrespect each other anymore. But would that really be what happens? First of all, I apologize for the kind of shoddy video quality of this being a webcam. And yes, it is the webcam that came with the computer. But I'm kind of working on getting a tripod where I can actually record myself on better video quality uh, devices. Anyway, getting back to the point, I have a tendency to go off on tangents, so I'm going to try to stay as focused as I can here. But I do want to say, first of all, that I believe that high schoolers and grade schoolers first are, to be blunt, not that deep. Okay? They are, a lot of times, the friendships that they make are friendships of convenience. Okay? So, a lot of these friendships consequently do not last beyond the high school days. How does this apply to the Breakfast Club? And by the way, let me say that if anybody out there who watches this is the exception to that, A, I mean no disrespect to you, and B, definitely my hat off to you. My hat is off to you, and I mean you the utmost respect. If you are the exception, kudos to you. Getting back on topic. In the situation of the Breakfast Club, it was this Gilligan's Island of kids who were all from different perspectives, different groups. You had your jocks and your criminals and your basket case, etc., etc. And they came together and ultimately discovered that they were more than just caricatures, but in fact, there were elements of each one of them in themselves. So there was a bit of a preppy princess, or a criminal, or a even a brain, the nerd, so to speak, in each one of them. If you take the character of John Bender, played by Judd Nelson, he was preppy in that, in his own way, he felt like he was better than the rest of them. But he was also a lot smarter than anybody really gave him a chance to prove. But anyway, try not to get off topic here. Would they have remained friends Monday morning? I believe, well, this question, actually has kind of two parts to it. Are we talking about, from the perspective of an 80s movie? Or are we talking about in real life? And I'll address the former first. From the 80s movie perspective, I believe that, for example, if Molly Ringwald's friends started to make fun of Anthony Michael Hall, who played the nerd, then from the 80s movie perspective, she would say, stop that, he's my friend, and if you don't like him, then you're no friend of mine. And she would walk away from them, and they would be like, and but from a realistic standpoint, my opinion is somewhat cynical, but hopeful as well. I believe that she would not walk away from her friends because they've been her friends for, from her perspective, forever. But she would not help them make fun of him. She would basically sit there in silence. Okay, and I believe that's true of Bender, and I believe that's true of uh, uh, Emilio Estevez's character as well. Okay, they would more or less sit there in silence, let their friends make fun of them, but they would just choose not to participate. Um, that's pretty much what my perspective is. I don't believe that they would change the school. I don't believe if Anthony Michael Hall's character, again, he played the brain. If he became valedictorian, I don't think he's going to go up there and say, John Bender, this guy you all know is a delinquent and a criminal, he's my friend. I don't believe he would do that. In fact, I believe that come senior year, and I do want to point out that this movie actually said that they were in high school, but did not indicate if they were all in the same grade, what grade they were in. I think it purposely avoided that issue entirely. But I believe that they would pretty much kind of revert back to the characters that they were. The characters and the caricatures that they were. And, it's unfortunately, I don't think that they would remain friends. I don't think that they would, meet and have, dinner together or go to a movie together, be it in secret or, publicly. But I do think that if their friends made fun of, each other's characters or each other's characters' friends, that they would just choose not to participate. They would just kind of sit there and to be honest, the friends probably wouldn't even notice that they didn't add anything to it. Okay. I'm not going to go into, do I think that each person would learn a lesson or something like that? But, let's be honest. I mean, if the kids, I said before that, in high school we have friends that are friends of opportunity, and I very much believe that. And this whole Breakfast Club situation, this detention situation, you're thrown in with nobody. Not only are these people not like you, but they are, in fact, your quote unquote enemy, in school. And you could have a situation where Judd Nelson's character hates Emilio Estevez's character like they pretty much do at the beginning, and even get to the point where it gets a little physical. And then, of course, they end up having a mutual respect for each other at the end. But, I think in all reality, they would hate each other in the beginning, and they would hate each other at the end. But I think that they got along to get along. I know that sounds terribly cynical, but I do honestly believe that they were friendly to each other. They kind of stumbled on the fact that they discovered each and every one of them was alike. They all had issues. They all had fears. They all had, these, caricatures they were expected to maintain. But for the most part, they would, revert back to what they were. And that whole situation, I mean, do you really want to sit in a room for 8 hours, basically a school day, and either say nothing to each other or bicker at each other for 8 hours. No, eventually you're going to learn to kind of get along. But when Monday morning comes, that situation is no longer required, and you're going to go right back to your own clique, basically. So that's my feeling. Please do comment. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong. I do ask that you be respectful, of course, but that's my feeling on what would have happened Monday morning on the Breakfast Club. And I think that if they had made a Breakfast Club 2, again, from an 80s perspective, yeah, they'd be a little more heroic. But, if it went down the road of reality, that sadly they would either never speak to each other again, or would have some kind of like clandestine meeting. Of course, I think the movie would have been more depressing than anything else, whereas it was the situation that they were thrown into in the first movie. Just it allowed for a lot of comedic situations, and I just think Judd Nelson in particular was tops with his comedic timing, and didn't mean to throw a movie review in at the same time, but there you go. But again, I hope this didn't depress you too much, but these are my honest feelings, and sure, I'm throwing my own baggage in a little bit here, but this is based on my experiences in high school. A lot of my quote unquote friends, I don't really communicate with them much anymore because they were friends of opportunity, and I look back on that, and these guys and I were not particularly close. We didn't share our deep, dark, dirty secrets or whatever. So that's that's just kind of how a lot of school related friendships are. And I say again, if you are the exception, if you did meet your friend in school, and you are friends for 30 years and to this day, and you were each other in each other's weddings and all this kind of stuff, then my hat's off to you, because I truly believe that you are the exception, not the rule. But I hope this wasn't too depressing, and I want you guys to take care of yourselves and be well, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.